Whatever it is we're doing, on the inside of that, on the back end, is the return to Wuji. There is birth, there is growth, there is thriving, there is diminishing, there is death and return. This is the constant cycle of everything. So this is Tao Te Ching Chapter 16 from the Dakuan Soho translation. Dakuan Soho was an abbot of the Rinzai sect of Zen Buddhism and wrote an excellent book, which is really a compilation of letters called The Unfettered Mind, which I highly recommend. It is a Zen book, but Zen has roots in Taoism, and the mindset that he discusses in that book is very much the mindset that we seek in Taoism. It just so happens that he himself translated the Tao Te Ching. So here we are, Tao Te Ching Chapter 16, Dakuan Soho's translation. Reaching extreme emptiness, maintaining calm steadily. As myriad beings all act, I thus watch their return. Beings are multitudinous. Each reverts to its origin. Reverting to the origin is called calm. Calm is called return from a mission. Return from a mission is called normalcy. Knowing normalcy is called clarity. If you don't know normalcy, you randomly make trouble. If you know normalcy, you accept. Acceptance is impartial. Impartiality is regal. The regal is celestial. The celestial is the way. The way is everlasting. You are not endangered to the end of your life. We're going to unpack that. The first line, reaching extreme emptiness, maintaining calm steadily. And the second, as myriad beings all act, I thus watch their return. This is the constant through line of Wuji. As we discussed a moment ago in our practice, the first step in Tai Chi is to stop, cease actively engaging our will to create an effect or a change that we want. So when we stand in Wuji in our physical practice, we stop and we become still and we attend inward, what we oftentimes call Ting, to deeply attend within. And of course, ultimately, we deeply attend without as well. It's the action of quiet observation, which is also the first step to any form of meditation. Just observing the natural cycle of things happening, how they arise, what they do, how they diminish, and ultimately return to stillness. So the stillness becomes this underlying constant within waves of motion and action. Beings are multitudinous. Each reverts to its origin. Reverting to the origin is called calm. Calm is called return from a mission. All things, events, actions are temporary states. States of motion, of change, emotions, thoughts, things coming from without, things arising from within, all exist on a background of emptiness and stillness. So this is just a line reinforcing this idea that everything that has a beginning has an end. All things rise and then eventually return. This is the cycle of Tai Chi, returning to Wuji and arising again. Now this folding back in and unfolding out is a constant thing, so we typically miss it. We don't see the emptiness and stillness because we get too focused on the action of what's going on. And even in our physical practice, as we're practicing the form, the movements become sort of the subject of our awareness. The arm goes here, I'm turning there, whatever it is. And so our awareness can be pulled externally and pulled sort of into the future, into the next step. And even if we're a little bit more advanced and we're focusing on internal qualities, we're often still focusing on what our intention is, what we're trying to make happen, and whether or not that's correct. And often we lose the underlying fundamental principle of Wuji, which is actually what all of our actions are supposed to be about. Whatever it is we're doing, on the inside of that, on the back end, is the return to Wuji. And this has, of course, a moment-to-moment significance within our physical practice and more abstract level in our lives, situational cycle of different events that are happening in our lives, whether they be daily or weekly or whatever it is that's going on. And then ultimately the entire arc of our life is this, and of all life and of the cosmos, right? It's all the same thing, that there is birth, there is growth, there is thriving, there is diminishing, there is death and return. This is the constant cycle of everything, from the smallest moments to the largest stretches of time. So returning from a mission is like you report back. You report back to your own center, to your own source. Whatever it is you're doing, every piece of it has a return path. That's what that means. Return from a mission is called normalcy. Knowing normalcy is called clarity. If you don't know normalcy, you randomly make trouble. When we observe or focus on our Wuji, alignment becomes habitual. When we think of every action and every movement as simply a way of refinding Wuji. So when I raise my arms, I'm not thinking I'm raising my arms. That's only part of it. But the more important part, what raising the arms is subordinate to, is the act of finding how to adjust back to this feeling of inner balance and equilibrium, how each part of the body relates to the other. So there isn't excess pressure or compression or work in any other part of the body. It transfers the force down to the earth, receives force back from the earth, and every other part is helping every other part, and we find an equilibrium of forces within us. And then, of course, this echoes and sometimes engenders an equilibrium in the mind. So as we find balance in the body, we find more balance in the mind. The mind and the body aren't really different things. We just kind of separate them out into things like intellect and physicality, but really it's all one system. And it's saying that if you do that consistently, it becomes a habit, that you naturally begin to restore your alignment, your center, your balance, your Wuji in the midst of whatever change is going on. Whether that's change that was initiated from some external stimuli or situation, or initiated because you decided to take action in some way, now all of that is calibrated as how it restores your inner balance, mentally, emotionally, physically. And so when we're doing our practice and we're turning, the reason we're turning and twisting and making all the different adjustments we're making is to restore that inner feeling of balance and equilibrium, is to restore Wuji, the right relationship between the parts. Normalcy is the habituation, right? You understand that what is constant, what is normal is the stillness, not the action. Action is temporary. What's normal and constant is the still balance. But if you don't have an insight to that, and you get stuck in your focus on all the temporary changes, then your balance, mentally, emotionally, physically, is thrown this way and that, and then you're trying to do things, but you're doing things without that through line of calibrating back to your inner balance. So you're just doing stuff to try to affect external situations that are constantly changing. And so it's a gamble of whether or not you get it right or you get it wrong. So you constantly get frustrated and run into all these struggles and do things that don't fit the larger picture, and then you just have a bunch of mess going on within yourself. And this is the same thing in our practice. If you're just focused on what you're doing with your arm, then you raise your arm and your arm got in the right spot, but your whole body is out of alignment. If you don't do the movements with the understanding of the whole and how everything returns back to Wuji, then you are going to miss this idea of wholeness and balance as the constant state through all the movements, which is the point of the practice. Last line. Acceptance is impartial. Impartiality is regal. The regal is celestial. The celestial is the way. The way is everlasting. You are not endangered to the end of your life. By accepting change, by accepting the cycles of return, which means letting go of what's happening now, no matter how much we like it, and accepting what comes. It means accepting what's happening now, no matter how much we don't like it, and not trying to chase after what we want things to be. It's not passivity, but when we do that, when we let go of control and permanence or the desire for those things, we start to become calm, because we start to recognize those things that are beyond our influence and control. Things that are actually better left to their own natural course, which is most things. It's not that we are in the driver's seat directing events in our lives and even ourselves on any level. We are more like sailors on the sea. When we are still and calm, we can begin to know what the forces around us are doing, and we can align ourselves to them. And when we align ourselves to them, then we can work with them. And then all of the mess and the trouble gets reduced. We don't struggle needlessly. We're not endangering ourselves needlessly. So this is what it means. It's when you're in alignment with what's going on within yourself, outside yourself, instead of struggling to make things as you want them to be, you are finding the path that as you deal with whatever's going on, you find balance. But it has to come from a place of accepting what things are. First, it doesn't mean that you are completely passive. It means that you learn how to participate. You are not the lead dancer. You accept that, and you learn how to dance with it and not fight it. And when you learn to do that, then you begin to find how your actions can align with the forces that are already present rather than struggle against them.